Bunny, and welcome to a new video and welcome to another WWE reaction. Oh my god, this video did not age well, you guys. This video was recorded, published 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, and it already did not age well. Woo! Okay, so I was recommended by Wiz to react to dark history behind Brock Lesnar's first WWE run. I did find the video by Sportskita Wrestling, and it's called The Dark History Behind Brock Lesnar's First WWE Run. And you guys, the comments on this video, you have to check them out. Unfortunately, this did not age well. It's not actually a funny thing. I don't know why I'm just laughing the fact that it's just 2 weeks and it already did not age well. It is very sad. It is a very, very sad thing to hear. Especially that Brock Lesnar was someone who, what I learned is like babyface, really nice guy, really awesome wrestler, you know, and I have only positive thoughts and positive thinking about him. Well, guess what? Sometimes you never know. Like sometimes you can think one thing about one person, but secretly they could be the worst. And I'm not saying that that's the case with Brock Lesnar, because all of this is allegations and nothing is 100% true. But the fact how WWE reacted, like the network and the company, and what they have done to him makes me think that it's probably true. Like, I don't know, 80% true. Either way, I want to see what people thought dark about Brock Lesnar before this whole Vince McMahon lawsuit. Like, what did you think negatively about him? What was dark about him before this? Because now definitely we know a thing or two, but back then, what? Let's check the video and see.
Remember that incredible, history-making, crowd-crushing run that Brock Lesnar had when he broke into the WWE over 20 years ago?
Was it when he
superstar.
took down Undertaker?
He was the youngest WWE champion ever at just 4 months breaking into the main roster.
WWE Championship, Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar.
He stormed out of Ohio Valley Wrestling, a class that included other all-time greats, but he was the next big freaking thing, and he beat The Rock to capture that title. Within a year, he already won the Royal Rumble, headlined a WrestleMania, but his abrupt exit from WWE in 2004 may not have been as graceful. He was the most accomplished young WWE superstar that we had seen in decades. And in just a few short years, he was out of the company.
Just didn't want to be in the locker room 20 years from now looking like these guys and still doing the same thing. Being an entertainer wasn't fulfilling my needs, so I just followed out and exited the building.
It's Sportskita Wrestling. I'm Kevin. Let's look at the dark history of Brock Lesnar's first run in WWE. Brock Lesnar had incredible success on WWE television and skyrocketed to superstardom. But behind all of that, there was a lot of suffering, a lot of pain, and moments where he had quite literally fear for his own life. You probably know that Brock Lesnar was the beast even during his amateur wrestling days, becoming an NCAA Division I heavyweight champion in the year 2000. That's basically the biggest honor for any wrestler at the collegiate level. But his amateur wrestling and college days are a story for another video. What was seen there and clear is that Brock Lesnar had all the skills, an otherworldly physique, an incredible competitive drive, and that simple it factor where you knew WWE could see money in what he could become in the future. When he was transferring colleges to further his amateur wrestling career, he drove 289 miles from Minneapolis to Webster, South Dakota to tell his parents of his decision before leaving for another 1,600 miles to Susanville, California, arriving at 5 in the morning for the first day of his classes.
Oh my God.
This is an example of someone who simply, when he sets out to do something, he will do it. Like many football hopefuls who eventually became wrestlers, the young beast incarnate was left with a big dilemma in his collegiate.
It's not fair to really like show Goldberg there, because the guy unfortunately suffered an injury and had to leave football, but yeah.
Athletic career.
Who knows what would have happened to him
football, but knew that there was no guarantees he would make it. On the other hand, WWE had already scouted Lesnar and offered him a lucrative, $250,000 year contract.
And that was like back
Something
then.
that was almost never heard of for a
Back
WWE
then.
recruit at the time.
I guess now
As a
that's
broke
nothing.
college kid who had the skills, the body, there was no way he could refuse. He was always going to be fast-tracked to the main roster through the Ohio Valley Wrestling developmental territory and be ready for that opportunity when it came. And it came on the post-WrestleMania 18 edition of Monday Night Raw. A 24-year-old Brock showed up, turned heads, and unleashed his power upon the WWE platform. He was an instant hit. He had one of the greatest debuts in WWE history. Think The Undertaker when he showed up at Survivor Series. Think AJ Styles when he showed up at Royal Rumble in 2016. It meant something right away. But it was a tricky time for WWE outside of Brock. Vince McMahon knew he had his prototype superstar.
I need to turn some lights on.
In-house talent who had that it factor. And he was
much.
going to turn into the next household name. Even then, he was dealing with the fallout of The Rock and Stone Cold's careers going into the twilight stage, and seeing the inevitable end of those big names, he knew he needed something else on the horizon. Stone Cold Steve Austin walked out of WWE because he didn't want to lose to the surging Brock Lesnar.
Really? That's like the only
King of the Ring
reason?
tournament without a build-up to it. And The Rock had his sights already set on Hollywood. Because Brock Lesnar was chosen as the main face of the WWE at the time when the roster was already stacked with established names, he was instantly exposed to the grueling schedule of WWE without being really prepared for it. This was a kid fresh out of college. No amount
He
of
doesn't even
maturity
look
could
like
have
a
helped
kid
him deal with what
at
he
all.
had to face
Not
next.
even back then.
In his own words,
He almost
was
never
on the
looked like a
road
kid.
almost 360 days a year, while simultaneously dealing with the physical grind that is pro wrestling.
True,
It's not
that's
easy
not
when
easy
you have
at
to
all.
perform almost every night, go in and out of the cities, on flights, in cars,
Yeah, no.
finding new places to eat. It's a
Nah.
mental struggle on top.
It's really not easy. I remember. I'm not gonna even compare. Listen, I always like to start from me to be able to have this empathy and realization and understanding for other people. But I'm not comparing. Like, it's not even close. I remember back in the day when I was an amateur actress in theater, and we had a festivals to attend with our play, and we had to travel for like 7 days straight to different cities and perform. Like, the same day we would come in, and the same night we would have to perform. And then the same night, sometimes even pack our shit, sleep in a bus, and go to the next destination. And you guys, that was exhausting. I was like 17 years old. I had so much energy, but even back then, that was exhausting. So let alone imagine to have to do something like this every single day for multiple months in a row. It's crazy.
Of just the demanding physical one. Doing it on a daily basis and not being maybe set for that opportunity before you get it may have been the real problem for Brock, as he quickly fell into the destructive pattern of the two V's, vodka and Vicodin.
Why don't you think you
what?
remember that period very well?
Vodka and pain pills.
Oh my God, he was on drugs?
That's why.
If you're unaware,
That's not
Vicodin is a
funny.
painkiller medication that thousands of professional athletes have taken. Plenty of professional wrestlers have unfortunately abused
'Cause
it,
they are in
including one of
pain.
Lesnar's greatest rivals, Kurt Angle, who even admitted to taking 65 pills of Vicodin at a day in the peak of his abuse. His comment about not
That's
remembering
sad.
anything may start to make more sense with the two
Yeah.
V's. There was even that infamous plane ride from hell that WWE had in 2002, where Brock Lesnar got into a competitive grappling match with Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig while they were on a plane,
Kurt-
completely out of his
Hennig.
mind. He doesn't even remember what happened, but on
IG.
the Dark Side of the Ring series, it was revealed
Kurt
that
with
they
a C, I
almost
think.
broke open
I
the
don't remember.
plane's emergency exit door in the process. Lesnar said that they were reprimanded, and that was all of the truth that he would share of it, but he seemed to have forgotten that Mr. Perfect was fired directly as a result of the incident. Brock Lesnar also had the wild recklessness that some pro wrestlers simply feel they need to have sometimes to perform at the highest levels and take those high risks, like say a shooting star press that you've never done on television at that point on the main event of WrestleMania.
What are those moments?
Brock Lesnar did that, and it didn't go too well. It's still a horrific sight to watch. The fact that he only got a concussion from it was a miracle. He was lucky to even survive.
I think it's the muscles that saved him.
He was simply a freak of nature.
Yeah, like
went on to
his
have
muscles
incredibly
saved him,
successful year in
shielded him from
WWE
bigger injury.
before the disgraceful exit he would have when he faced Goldberg at WrestleMania 20, when it was widely known in the entire audience at Madison Square Garden that he was out of WWE and so was Goldberg. On paper, Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg in that time frame with Stone Cold Steve Austin as the guest referee should have been a big deal, but Lesnar most definitely thought F this when he flipped off the crowd at the grandest stage of them all.
Wow.
But for him, it isn't that surprising in the least that he called
I
it.
mean, I feel like everybody would have noticed that Goldberg doesn't have anymore this streak of winning the way he did with WCW, and then Brock Lesnar would win. I don't think he really cared unless they were telling him, oh, you're gonna lose this time. Like, I don't think so.
In an interview with SportsCenter many years later, he was asked about not being able to recall anything from those 2 years between 2002 and 2004.
Imagine
he
abusing
described the
drugs.
insane, daunting schedule that took a toll on him. He described his consumption of alcohol and Vicodin as his best friends and his biggest enemies.
I take too damn many pills, yeah.
This is sad. Honestly, I feel like there is nothing more sad than not being able to remember the golden years in your life. And this reminds me of that guy from Malcolm in the Middle, Malcolm, actually, the actor who has this illness where he forgets things, and he forgot almost everything about him recording the series back in the day. Also, like if we look at Bruce Willis, I'm sure at this point he forgot everything about his career. Like he barely can remember the names of his family at this point. And there is nothing more sad than knowing that the person is still alive but cannot even remember these best years of their lives, like the most success they had and the most love and attention they had by their fans.
Much, yes.
But this is different. He chose to drink and take pills.
Lesnar admitted to Pat McAfee in their interview that he was running through a bottle of vodka every 1 or 2 days and even popped a casual, quote, couple hundred pain pills a month to go with it. During his time in WWE, he saw people who had been relying on pain medication for 20 years and decided that he didn't want to end up being like one of those guys. For him, escaping the wrestling business wasn't just a result of burnout. It was a last-ditch attempt to save his life from that spiral into very negative and dangerous behavior.
Oh my God,
he
that
was
was sad.
put on the
That was
biggest
sad.
spot you could
I mean,
be
scary,
in
not sad. Oh my
WWE and had an offer and a strict no-quit attitude while they were putting the world title on him after another world title, after another world title, and another major main event. Brock Lesnar described it as being a caged animal and a hamster on a treadmill. To quote him, he sums it up how he felt during that entire star-making run. I'm so blessed that I'm alive to tell this story.
Dude, to be honest, when he mentions that for 2 years, he couldn't even remember anything because of the abuse. Do you think whatever is the allegations with the lawsuit, did it happen at that time? Because you're out of your control, you're under drugs, and you have no idea what you are doing. That would be really sad if that was the case.
There are a lot of people who went through the same thing as me who aren't around today. Thank God I woke up one morning and decided that enough was enough. I knew if I kept on living this way, I would one day just stop living. He never lost that competitive edge, though. Lesnar tried to make a go at it in the NFL, nearly breaking out of the practice squad as a walk-on with the Minnesota Vikings. And after that, he headed east to New Japan Pro Wrestling, where he would dominate and become
I feel like a lot of
an
wrestlers
IWGP
would go
World
to
Heavyweight
Japan.
Champion. But the situation was an entire mess in of itself because Lesnar had 2 major sources of stress. One, he had an MRI scan done, revealing that he had 2 broken vertebrae, meaning that he had to travel across the entire world with an injury that required immediate surgery. The second situation was that WWE was suing him because of a bizarre, challenging, and questionable non-compete clause that Lesnar had signed, stating that he could not compete with other pro wrestling organizations until 2010. a whole 6-year non-compete clause.
But he did.
Really beats the standard 90 days when you get let go. The additional stress of the lawsuit didn't help him, and he fell further into his dependency
That's so
on
mean.
those
Like they give you 90 days that you can be let go and you still have to sign something for 6 years in your life. So
V's,
mean.
having a legal battle and a serious physical battle in the form of a broken back. He noted that his consumption of alcohol and pills, even at that level, was considerably lesser than his former WWE peers. Having lost touch with reality for a period of time, he decided to make a change and move closer to his daughter with a renewed focus
he
on
has
his
a
family.
daughter. He's
what
a
his purpose in
dad. I
life
didn't know
was.
that.
Once he ventured into mixed martial arts,
Was he married or?
he shot into immediate mega stardom as the biggest box office draw in combat sports history and truly one of the biggest crossovers between pro wrestling and the UFC. And, oh yeah, he became the UFC heavyweight champion on major pay-per-views. Once it was time for him to make that return to WWE, and 8 whole years later had passed. He had also faced other physical challenges, including diverticulitis, which that's not easy either. Thankfully, this time around, Brock was in the driver's seat to dictate his own terms and get the most lucrative and comfortable contract he could with WWE as a part-time, multi-million-dollar featured attraction. Who didn't have to be there on the toils of the road that he had to deal with before. He could come in when he wanted and perform the way he wanted to. For many of the years since he took on that part-time status role, you have a lot of fans complaining about the lack of appearances and not really having real matches all the time. 4 or 5 matches a year.
Oh, come on. Did you see him in Royal Rumble? What he did? He's old, though.
Champion 7 more times in WWE. That jaded perception seems to have changed over the years. What you see more now is fans having a reverent appreciation for the fact that Lesnar is such an incredibly unique human being, a fantastic businessman, and now a true certified future Hall of Famer. It's just a matter of when, not if. Who in their right mind wouldn't want to get paid higher than all their coworkers while working fewer days a year? I mean, it's just kind of natural. Apply Lesnar's situation to your own job and tell us you don't appreciate what he's gotten away with here. Professional wrestling schedule is so
do it. If he can do it, do it
for everybody involved in it. And we're not even just considering the wrestlers. What about the crew out there? It's considered even more hectic than most competitive sports when you get in that ring. You might see a tough guy version of Brock Lesnar that he wants you to see on TV. But by most accounts of people who have spoken about him, he's an extremely nice, sincere individual who
that's what I heard about
his
him.
Privacy a lot. And what's wrong with that? Don't be mistaken, he's still the ultimate alpha male of our species, living on a farm in Canada, hunting what he wants, doing what he wants, fishing, grabbing
Was that a shark?
bass
An
straight
actual
out of the
shark?
river. I don't know, like a bear or something. Are you going to tell me he couldn't do that? I believe he could do that. It's safe to say that he doesn't miss those days when he's running himself to the ground every day while having incredible
But somehow, when you are younger, you think you have to do something like that to be on top. And even companies use you and abuse you because they know you're young and you're really emotional about something and you don't really care that much about your health. And because you have health, people who have health, they don't really think about it and they don't think about the future a lot. Like they're not dumb, but like they are blinded by the vision of fame and success.
Now, that's a success maybe he gets to have a better perspective on. Cody Rhodes, after beating Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2023, in one of those matches you should be considering one of the best of the year, admitted that the beast incarnate is to him what Harley Race was to his father, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. If you will, we will borrow a quote from the American Nightmare that perfectly sums up the man that Lesnar is now in pro wrestling. When he's gone, I don't know when that'll be. Who knows? Because he can go. But when he's gone, I think the world will realize what we've got is a freaking unicorn. Just a very unique, once-in-a-lifetime individual.
No, I don't
think so. That is completely true. Thank you for watching Sportskeeda Wrestling. Let us know your favorite matches and moments from Brock Lesnar, what you like about him. Maybe you saw him live. What do you remember on that show when you saw Brock do his thing? Let us know in the comments below.
Can you see me now? Can you see me now?
I mean, we see you. Oh my God, the light turned completely off. I'll explain. I had my, I didn't turn on the lights in my room, and I turned like my windows. I opened my window drapes, and the light was on a second ago, okay? And now it's like complete darkness, and it's not even 5 o'clock, you guys. So I had to deal with this teeny tiny light here around me, around my face, and I'm really bothered by how it looks. I look like death right now. But either way, like, I have to end the video here. You guys, I want to say that, like, at the end of the video, he made it sound so emotional and motivational about Brock Lesnar and how we are gonna remember him as a unicorn, and that did not age well, because I don't think people will be remembering him as a unicorn, and especially they will not remember him as a unicorn if these allegations turn out to be true. And if he gets convicted, things will change, definitely. Everybody will remember him for what he has done. So actions like this stick around, and if this what happened is true, oh my God, I would feel really sad. I would be really shocked and surprised, because he doesn't seem like that type of a person, and I would have to re-question my ability to, you know, read people, even though I don't know him in real life, but at least from the actions he has showed us through Royal Rumble and through WWE and his career, we would all be surprised, especially people who have been a fan of him for decades now. Like, imagine being that person. But that is it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Sorry for the light in this video, but this is what we got. Thanks so much for watching, and see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Bye!